Ruth lives and works at the island axis of Lagos, and her life looks perfect on paper. A successful career, a beautiful apartment, and a loving family. But beneath the surface, she's hiding from her pain and past. As a child, Ruth had a tough upbringing, and she never experienced the feeling of satisfaction whenever there was an achievement. This made Ruth a difficult person to work with. Ruth works as the head of department for the branding and design department, and is always busy with meeting clients and interfacing with the team because of how tedious it can be most times. She got an assistant, Sandra. Sandra is a free-spirited young lady who, despite the toughness of the world, tries to see the beauty in everything and the good in everyone. So, whenever she was at work, she brought light to everyone she worked with. While everyone in the office despised working with Ruth or reporting directly to her, Sandra was always cheerful. Ruth was a terror to her colleagues, and most of them always ask Sandra how she survives working with her boss. On a beautiful afternoon, while returning from a meeting, she met Jacob and Peter, members of her team, standing outside chatting. She walked close to them and asked them, while they were outside chatting like people with no task to deliver. Jacob looked at her and said, "We just wanted a few minutes break to ease our minds off the pressure from work." She looked at them and walked away without saying a word. Few minutes later, everyone in the team was summoned to the boardroom for a meeting. Sandra, who called the meeting, didn't have an idea why the meeting was called but kept assuring everyone that all is well. After minutes of waiting, Ruth walked in and started addressing them on the importance of teamwork, productivity, and task delivery. She made reference to the event that happened earlier and the fact that she won't tolerate her team members taking breaks during work hours, except there were issues beyond their control, and even when that happens she would prefer they appear useful. Some of them were offended by her tone and approach, as the matter doesn't require the urgent meeting that was called, and why some faces had frowns on. Ruth continued by saying, anyone who wasn't ready to work should turn in their resignation and go home to get enough breaks as they want, as she won't tolerate breaks during work hours. She dismissed the meeting and walked out, leaving everyone to their fate. Sandra hurried behind her. As they entered the office, Ruth sat down, opened her laptop and started working. She raised her head after a while and asked Sandra, "Do I pay you to stand and watch me work? Go supervise what the others are doing, and bring me report for the day before end of work today." "Out of my office now." Sandra looked at her, with confusion on her face, and asked, "Are you okay, Ma? How did the meeting go?" "It went well," Ruth replied. "I am working on the brief so the team can get their task tomorrow, so hurry along and go handle your job and stop looking lost." Sandra, standing close to the door, looked at Ruth and said, "If the meeting went well, why are you so angry and bitter towards everyone? Not everyone can work under a toxic boss, and you are making it difficult for people to work with you. I don't know what it is, but boss, you come in too strong and it's not good. I am sorry if I said anything to offend you. Think about it." Sandra left the office, and Ruth looks back on her laptop and continues working like nothing happened. Ruth gets home to a happy husband who welcomes her with a warm hug at the door, and her children sitting at a dining table patiently waiting for her to join them before dinner gets cold. She gives them a kiss on the forehead and moves to sit beside her husband. They ate in silence and head to the sitting room for the evening time discussion, which was family bond time. "Mom, I got 87 on my math quiz today," her son Ben said with a smile on his face. Looking at him sternly, "Why will you be excited that you got 87? What happened to making it 100? If it's not 100, you failed, and I am not raising anyone to be a failure, okay?" The boy looks down and didn't respond. "Mary, how was school work today?" Ruth looks at her daughter, who was sitting on her father's lap. "Mommy, school was good, and we didn't have any quiz today." "All right then, I believe you are done with your homework, and I know at bedtime. Give Mommy and Daddy a hug, head to your room and prepare for bed." In their bedroom, her husband said to her, "Honey, it won't hurt to give credit when someone achieves something good. Ben just shared his exciting result with you, and all you could do was undermine his efforts. It's not a good leadership skill. You won't get the best in people when you do it continuously, and please work on that attitude. If you continue like this, Ben would see himself as a failure and low self-esteem would gradually set in. I wouldn't want my children seeing themselves any less, and you wouldn't make them see themselves as that, please. And yeah, you owe Ben an apology, acknowledgement of effort, and a gift." He gave her a kiss on her forehead and goes into the bathroom. She kept staring at herself in the mirror, tears in her eyes. She got into bed feeling sad about the day's event. While getting dressed for work the next morning, Ruth said to her husband, "Sweetheart, I want to discuss something with you." He looked at her with so much attention and moves to sit on the bed. She sits beside him, tears starts rolling down her eyes. She explained that what he said the previous night was true, and she was sorry if she has shown little or no emotional intelligence, recalling that her assistant had mentioned the same thing at work. She narrated further that her upbringing was a strict and rigid one, with everyone competing at all times because her father never appreciated efforts but results. She went on to explain how winning or succeeding is the only way she could show she was relevant. Anything otherwise wasn't good enough. She appreciated her husband with a hug for telling her the truth, and also pleaded for time to work on herself and become a better wife, mom, and leader at work. He prayed with her and they head to work. At the office later that day, she called an office meeting, apologized to the team for how she had led them so far, and also pleaded with them to give their best, work together to deliver on task, take breaks when they need to, and stay safe. She concluded the meeting with a promise that lunch for the week was on her. Everyone was excited and thanked her for the kind gesture. Are you struggling with any childhood event that you know affects how you deal with people around you? Speak to someone about it today to live a happy life.